Hi, this is Frank Strocio with another episode of Stories Best Told in the Dark. Um, Today I want to talk about another subject that's in my book, but it's different in a lot of ways from what you might expect in a book on parapsychology. It's a story about how I delved into hypnosis and a thing called lucid dreaming. So I think everybody has an idea what hypnosis is, so I won't kind of go into that. I only want to say that I spent a good many years doing auto hypnosis or self hypnosis. And till this day, I still have quite a few post hypnotic suggestions that are stuck. I wake up at the same time every morning. I never needed an alarm clock for work. I would set it every night just in case, but never needed it. I could program myself to do a lot of different things, including quitting smoking and, things like that. So I got pretty good at self-hypnosis, pretty good at getting into a nice, deep, relaxed state very quickly. And I had a whole process for doing that, and I lay out the process in the book, and it worked really well. I'm not going to get into that today. But one of the things I did was I just thought, wouldn't it be neat if, since we all dream, wouldn't it be neat if I could be aware of the dreams I was having and have some control over what I do in those dreams? So self-awareness in a dream, or lucid dreaming, is what I was looking for. And I said self-hypnosis might be the way to get that to happen. So I hypnotized myself and I programmed myself to, when I went to bed each night, I would hold my hands up in front of my face. I would look at my fingers, look at my hands, try to clear my mind, and I'd say to myself 3 times, if I see my hands while dreaming, I will know I'm dreaming. And that was my post-hypnotic suggestion. So I did that for a while. So the last thing on my mind every night going to sleep was seeing my hands and hearing that in my head. If I see my hands while dreaming, I will know I'm dreaming. So eventually it happened. The first dream I recall, I was in a gift shop. Don't know where it was, but it was a gift shop. I'm walking, and I didn't know I was dreaming. I was walking around in a gift shop, and I was looking at all the little knickknacks and things. And I reached over to grab a bottle of suntan lotion, and I saw my hand touch the bottle. And I heard in my head, if I see my hand, I'll know I'm dreaming. And I immediately said to myself, this is a dream. And I looked up and I looked around the gift shop, and people were walking around looking at things, but nobody was really aware that I was there. Didn't appear to be. And I said, well, if this is my dream and I'm dreaming, then I can pretty much do what I want. So I took this porcelain figurine and I smashed it on the floor, and I waited for somebody to do something, and nobody even seemed to notice. It was like I wasn't there. So I said, well, this is pretty interesting. So I imagined, I said, wouldn't it be cool if I were on a speedboat out on the water? All of a sudden, I was in a speedboat out on the water. It was a beautiful day. We're flying through the water. I wasn't driving the boat, and I can't remember who was. It's been too long, but somebody else was on the boat with me. And the water's splashing over the bow as we're going through the waves, and it's hit me in the face, and it felt so good. And I said, wow, this is great. If I can do this every night and go on an adventure every night, wouldn't that be cool? Then half of my life that I'm not aware of when I'm sleeping, or a third of my life, I'd have back to do whatever I want and not have to worry about anything, because I would be in control. So all of a sudden, that stinking thinking, or you know how every now and then your mind goes somewhere it probably shouldn't go. I don't know what it was I was thinking about, but it caused my dream to change, and it got dark and cloudy, and I saw a big lightning bolt come down and hit the water. The waves got rough. All of a sudden, I'm on a boat alone. I don't know where the other people were. And I start to panic and I wake up. So I had a dream journal I kept next to my bed, and I wrote this all down. That's how I still have it, and that's when I put it in my book. I took it right out of the dream journal. So then I said, well, I just got to have a little more self-discipline about my thoughts for these dreams to go well. So the second time, as I recall, I find myself in a manufacturing complex. Now, keep in mind, my job was a senior consultant, senior manufacturing consultant. So I would consult to CEOs and vice presidents in major corporations around the world. And in my last job, I actually worked for a multi-billion-dollar medical company, and I also had some worldwide responsibility there. So I thought I was in one of my plants, although I didn't recognize it. And I'm standing next to a manufacturing line. It's one of these conveyor belt lines like they used to have in the old, like Lucy in the Chocolate Factory video. And a bunch of us was standing around having what we call a stand-up meeting, talking about business. I didn't know anybody there, but they all knew me for some reason. I walk out and I get on an elevator. I get on the elevator and I don't know why. And I'm not sure what floor, what button to push. And the guy gets on, he says, "Hey, Frank," he said, and he pushes the button. And so I assumed, okay, that's where we're going. We get off, and I hear a bunch of people talking. I say, "What's going on?" He says, "Oh, they're having their big quarterly meeting." And we walk into this auditorium. And as I'm walking down the stairs and I look at my hand on the rail, I hear that voice. "If I see my hand, I'll know I'm dreaming." And I said, "This is a dream." So to test it, I don't recommend this, but I don't know why I did this, but I yelled out some real bad profanities, real loud, where everybody could hear them. And nobody seemed to notice. I said, okay, I'm in a dream. And I started thinking about God for some reason at that point. And all of a sudden I was in the wilderness. It was all mountain ranges. It was beautiful. And on the top of one mountain in the distance was a giant crucifix, and Jesus was hanging on it. And as I'm getting closer to it, he opens his eyes and looks at me, and I see such sorrow. I don't know, it was awful. And I woke up. It was my second dream. My third dream, I had a bunch of them. They're in the book. What I really want to get to is the last dream, the last two dreams. So this one dream, I wake up. I'm in a dream. I'm standing at a railing along the side of a waterway. Kind of one of those type. It was salt water, but it wasn't the ocean. It was like a waterway, and there were boats and that. And I was on a road, standing at a railing, and people were fishing off the side of the road, and they were pulling up these giant fish that was shiny like a mirror. And I said, "Wow, I'd never seen a fish like this in my life." I could look at this fish, and you could shave. It was just like a mirror, so shiny and brilliant. And I turned and I started walking down the street, and it was a cobblestone road. It reminded me of a town in England I worked in called Arundel, which was back, William the Conqueror time, and it's all cobblestone roads and hills and that. And I'm walking down this road, and there's an overpass over the road, and I'm wondering, where am I? Am I supposed to be at work? Is there a hotel around here I'm supposed to be going to? I must be going to my hotel. Where else would I be going? And I'm walking. I go under this bridge, and there's a guy sitting under the bridge, and he's playing a guitar. He's sitting on a stool playing a guitar, and he looks up at me. He says, "Oh, Frank." And I went, "Do I know you?" He says, "No, but you will." He says, "I know you." He said, My name is Leonard Lisner. He said, I want you to remember that name, and here's why. When you wake up, look up my name, Leonard Lisner. He says, I don't live that far from you. And I've been dream jumping and lucid dreaming all my life. I've got a lot I can teach you. I've been following what you've been doing. He said, so remember, Leonard Lisner. I says, okay. He said, now, he says, I want you to have some fun. He said, walk down the street. He says, it's your dream. You can do anything you want. Said, like the Bible says, if you got faith as small as a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. He said, in lucid dreaming, that's how it works. He says, I want you to fly like a bird. Flap your arms like wings and fly, and you will fly. So I said, I'll give it a try. I start doing that, and to my surprise, I start lifting off the ground, just like someone would be levitating. And I'm going higher and higher, and I look down, and there's crowds gathering below, pointing up at me and looking at me and clapping, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. I'm up in the air. I'm flying along like a bird, and I'm saying to myself, wow, I never realized how wonderful it is to be a bird. I know they have a rough life and everything, but boy, they have some beauty too. And a flock of birds come by. These are big birds. I don't know if they were geese or what. They were they had long necks. They were big birds. I can't remember what they were. And I could understand them. They were talking to me. And one of them said, we got to be on our way. Winter's coming. Follow us. And I said, okay. So I'm following them, and I don't remember now what we were talking about. And I look in the distance, and I see a clock tower. Big, tall tower. I don't know where it was. I think it was in Europe somewhere. It was a big, old-fashioned clock tower. And the clock caught my attention because it looked like a face. So I said, I'm going to go check that out. And the bird said, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Come with us. Time is short. Time is short. And off they go. I go towards the tower. It happened to be the face of a clown. And the clown was hideous. It opened its mouth. It had long pointed teeth, a black tongue, and flies came out of its mouth when it opened its mouth. It scared the living you-know-what out of me, and I woke up. So I made note to self, no more clowns, no more investigating stuff, especially if something in the dream tells me to stay away. I'm going to do that. And then I said, maybe I shouldn't do this lucid dreaming thing anymore. It was just so scary. So I put it in my dream journal, and I said, I'm not going to look at my hands anymore at night when I go to sleep. I'm not going to do that anymore. Unfortunately, once you put these suggestions in your mind, unless you take them out, they're kind of there. So sometime later, I find myself in another dream, and this is the one I really wanted to get to. In this dream, I'm walking down another road. It's a typical city street. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. There are no cars on the road, nothing parked against the curb. It's a completely barren street with brick buildings all the way down both sides. And I look in the distance and I see a city that looks like it might be almost on fire. A lot of smoke, and I see flames in the distance. And I said, boy, this can't be good. Still, I don't know I'm dreaming yet. And I said, I got to get my car and I got to get out of here. Something's going on. Where did I park my car? And I see a parking lot up on the left-hand side. As I'm walking to the parking lot, I realize I'm next to a school building. It's a big, old brick school building. And the parking lot seems to be for the school. But I can see my car in the lot. So I go in the fenced-in area and I start walking towards my car. And it was a rental car, so I figured I must be at work. And I decide to I don't know why, I decided to walk over to the school and just look in the window. So I go over to the door and I look in, and something said, see if the door's open. I grabbed the doorknob, and I saw my hand grab the doorknob, and I knew I was dreaming. I said, let's go investigate this building. After all, it's in my mind. It's my building, apparently, so I'm not going to worry about it. I go in, I walk in the building, and there's a long corridor. Of course, it's all dark. And I can hear my footsteps going across the floor. You know how it echoes when there's nobody else there. And I'm walking along, and I get this sense of dread. And so I said, I think it's time to wake up. Something's going to happen. And my mind went off to that weird area again where I start thinking about malevolent things and that, and I don't like that. And I couldn't wake up. And that's the first time that's happened, because in the past, every single time I got a scare, I would wake up. This time I'm getting scared, and I'm not waking up. And the more I'm not waking up, the more scared I'm getting, and I'm still not waking up. So, not good. So I said, I'm going to get out of here. I turn around to leave, and the door's gone. Everything's gone. It's just like a fog, like a mist. And there are things in the mist moving. And they're whispering, and they're coming towards me. And I get the distinct feeling that they're after me. So I start running down the corridor. These things, whatever they are in this fog, is following me down the corridor. I duck into a classroom. I shut the door. I lock the door. I jam a chair under the doorknob. And I go to jump out the window onto the street, and for some reason, I'm 2 or 3 stories up now. I never went up a set of stairs. How I got up that high, I don't know. I went, oh my God. I opened the window. I said, they'll think I went out the window. Where am I going to hide? It was a drop ceiling in the classroom. So I took a chair. I put it on top of the teacher's desk. I climbed up. I popped out the panel. I reached up, and luckily there was a rigid metal conduit, kind of like a water pipe or gas pipe or something up there I reached onto, and I kicked the chair as far away from the desk as I could so they wouldn't know I had been on the desk. The teacher's chair I didn't touch, so it was still under the desk. I pulled myself up, I put the panel back in place, and I shimmied along this pipe all the way to the corner of the classroom where the foundation, there's like a little shelf, a flat surface on the foundation at the wall. And I managed to jam myself up in that corner. And it was really dark, and I said, this is going to be a place I can hide, and they'll never find me here. I hear them clawing and banging on the door. I hear glass break. And they breach the classroom. Whatever these things are, they're in the classroom now. And I can hear them scurrying around. Don't know what they are, who they are, why they are. And I'm thinking to myself, I think I'm so smart hiding up in the corner here, but what if they do find me? There is nowhere to run. I'm in the corner. And it's a cement wall, and apparently I can't wake myself up from this dream for some reason. All of a sudden, the ceiling tile pops up, and up through the hole comes this figure, but it's facing the opposite direction of where I am. It's got long red or orange hair and a clown uniform on. And I go to myself, oh shit. I think this is the clown I saw in my last dream. It's gotta be. What else would it be? Its head turns around 180 degrees without its body turning, and it looks at me. And then the whole body turns. It crawls up, and if you've ever seen the movie The Grudge or The Ring, you see how this girl climbs out of the well in the ring, and she's all kind of like bones are cracking, and she looks like she's some kind of spider person or whatever. That's how this thing moves. Very unnatural, very creepy. And it's coming along the pipe like I did, but it's almost like a centipede crawling across it. It's not like me hanging on with two hands and trying to shimmy it. And it looks at me and it says, "Frank, it took me a while to find you, but I got you now. If you don't resist, it'll be quick." He says, "I don't want to hurt you. I just want to eat you." He says, "I want to rip you to shreds." And it laughed, and that black tongue come out, and it was, I'm getting the goosebumps just talking. I can't even tell you how scary it was. I have never been that scared. And it's coming towards me. All of a sudden, I realized that I have my rosary beads in my hand. Now, I always go to bed with a set of rosary beads, and I always pray the rosary and fall asleep praying the rosary. I figure whatever the last thoughts are on my mind, that's what's going to determine my dreams and that. And hopefully it'll protect me too. I don't remember having the rosary beads in the dream, but all of a sudden they're there. Something told me, use them. I closed my eyes and I started praying the rosary out loud. And it started screaming and making this hideous noise, telling me to stop it, stop it. I don't like the rosary. So I prayed it louder and louder and started screaming it back, never once opened my eyes. And I'm praying it and praying it and praying it. And all of a sudden, it's total quiet. The texture, the air changed, everything changed. I opened my eyes and I'm laying in bed. I had woken up. That was the last lucid dream I did because I went about hypnotizing myself and removing that suggestion. And I haven't had one since, and I don't want to have another one either. But I put my dream journal away, and for years I never even thought about it, never had another lucid dream until I started writing my book, Stories Best Told in the Dark. I said, oh, wouldn't it be neat to go find that dream journal and put these dreams in the book, especially this one I just told you, because I probably left a lot out. The dream journal has everything written down, so I didn't miss anything in the book. I might have missed something in this story. And when I do these, I don't read from a script. I'm just going from memory. So I get out the dream journal as I'm getting ready to put it in the book, and I see the name Leonard Lisner. And I went, oh my God, I never looked up that guy's name. No, I just never did. I have somehow forgot about it. So I looked it up. Now keep in mind, this is years later now. Years went by, I didn't look up this guy. Turns out he lived about an hour and a half away from me. And unfortunately, he passed away. So I never will know if that is the Leonard Lisner that was in my dream. His obituary, the picture in his obituary, it's got the same shaped face, the same kind of face, but in the dream he had long hair like a hippie and he was younger. In the picture in the obituary, he looked like he had been through a lot, like he was like he had suffered or whatever. He didn't look good. So I can't swear it's the same guy, but I can tell you it's an odd coincidence that there was only one Leonard Lisner that I could find that was anywhere near me. And that's the name the guy gave me, and in the dream he even spelled his last name for me, and it was spelled exactly the same way. So I wonder sometimes if dreams are really just dreams. Sometimes they can be real. In the book I talk about one where I actually saw something and found out the next day that I was there when it happened in my dream. Thought I was dreaming, but my dream spilled over into reality. So there are things in nature that we'll probably never understand. But I did want to kind of share this experience for any of you who are playing around with the occult, spiritism, Ouija boards, hypnosis, lucid dreaming, all that stuff is not good. It may seem interesting, it may seem fun, but it's not good. So I would suggest, and my phone's going off here at the worst possible time. I would suggest that you refrain from doing that sort of thing, if possible, and really focus more on the time you're awake and focus on good things. Thoughts determine actions. You want to discipline yourself, discipline your thoughts, get yourself in a good place in the mental space, get rid of the stinking thinking, and I think you'll be better off. Anyway, that's my story for today. Again, if you like this story, let me know. Frank Strocio and my book is Stories Best Told in the Dark. My email is storiesbesttoldinthedark@gmail.com. Give me a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.